Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This was the winner of the recent viewer vote. Every now and then when I unbox a parcel, I'll leave it up to you guys and you can have your vote. It was a really close one between this and number 4, so number 4 will come straight after I finish this one. This is number 1. And yeah, it's had a huge hit here, so unfortunately it's already into the colour bar. Seems to have one that's going straight across the top. Sand, 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 second colour bar here. So hopefully what we're going to do is be able to scrub this one up here and then extract this one as well by coming in from this sandy side. Step 1, all that sand is going to get removed with a really coarse diamond grit bit, the coarsest sintered that I've got, and then we'll reassess from there. Hopefully a nice double-sided stone. This colour bar confuses me a little because it's above the potch here. But if you look over this side, we've got potch coming in over the top here. So it could just be a little bit uneven, curved, and angling down there. No idea what's under here, so don't know how good this second bar is going to be, but that's pretty dark, so could end up with some nice little black opal in that one there. We'll have to see. Typically the potch is a bit darker when you get a nice black opal, but you never know your luck. That does seem to get a lot darker in there. And it's what happens around the colour bar that's more important than what's behind it or in front of it. So we're going to dive straight in and get this one scrubbed up. If you're not aware from previous votes, the winner of the vote has always suffered, and we call it the winning curse. So this stone should end up sand shot or something, but we're hoping we've shaken that curse off by having a bit of a break from the viewer vote. And we're going to hope to get a nice double-sided stone out of it. So let's get straight into it. Well, it's not the perfect gem so far, but we are getting something out of it. Unfortunately, the second colour bar that we saw here was really just on that tiny little bottom edge, and sand was just eating through the rest of it. There's still a lot of sand there, which is scary, but there's a fairly thick level of potch as well. So we could be okay. If I can get this nice little section here to pass all the way through here, we're going to be still on a winner. The colour goes down to there. I didn't want to go too much further because it's a bit thin over here and a chip could form, and a huge chip could be devastating. Unfortunately, that overhang there is crystal and has sand in it, so that's probably going to have to come back. But once that potch line here starts, I'm hoping that this sand cleans up really quickly and we just get this across the entire surface. The surface will end up being something more like this, and I may actually have to get the stencils out and get a nice shape out of that. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom here. I'll probably just grind straight through that a little bit and use it to dot. At least with this no longer being a double-sided stone, I don't have to worry too much about it, and I can just dot that side and be done with it. There is a little bit of potch here. I'm hoping that clears, but you never quite know. Otherwise, I don't want to end up with a tiny stone just like this from that window we could see right at the beginning. Even though that is a nice area, I do hope that it gets a little bit better than that. We aren't even all the way through to the bar yet. You always pull up because look how rough that sintered burr is. That's left visible grooves that you can almost fit your fingernail into. So we're going to drop back now and start trimming it up a little bit more, trimming up this edge and trying to get rid of this sand. So let's see how that goes. It goes quite deep. We'll probably have to take it right back to this line across here and see how we go. So let's do it. Well, we've got ourselves a little bit of a tricky one. So, some huge blocks of beautiful colour. I really like this one right in the dead centre there that flashes up. It's overall pretty nice. There's a lot of potch over here in this area. A lot of potch lines breaking up each of those blocks of colour, which is, I don't know, some people like that pattern. It's kind of like the honeycomb that you see in the Ethiopian. So some nice flash. But what I really don't like is looking through there, because it's crystal and the sand is right in there. You can actually see it from the front of the face. So this is the only part that I actually still want to get rid of. We will switch back to a pretty strong sintered diamond and just knock the bottom of this thing off as well, just so that we can dot just here, because that color bar is really faint and it's not going to get any better at this point. So it's best just to remove it completely. So we'll come down to that little line there, that little podgy line, and just flatten off the back. And this we're going to get rid of. And you know what? You might need to hold onto something steady, because this is a stencil, and I'm actually thinking that I'm gonna stencil an oval onto this, and we're gonna get an oval out of this stone. Now, I don't bring out the stencils very often on this channel. In fact, this might be the first stone where I bring out the stencils. I'm not sure. I've recorded a few other things with stencils, but most of the time I find it pretty boring and I don't end up putting them up. But this one, I think the 10 is perfect. Now, one funny note on these stencils that I've got, because they're cheap Chinese ones, 10, I would imagine, well, I assumed anyway, that this would be 10 mil. It's not. It's nowhere near it. It's actually 11. But the 4 down here is 4 mil, so that's 4, that's 5, that 6 actually jumps to 7. Can you see the difference between the 5 and 6? It's actually a 2 mil increase, and this is a 7, which throws out everything beyond there. So this is actually an 11 by 6, this stencil, from memory. I'm 99% sure, 11 by 6. And we're going to use that and get a nice little oval out of it, because that will just clip off our sandy spot on the back here. The stone's drying out so you can't see the pattern, but it'll clip that off. Pretty much all of it, or at least we'll hope for the best. 11, which is a 12 by 6.5 or something, is a little bit too big. Oh, it might just squeeze in. Nah. Looks like it's going to be a tad too big, so we'll go with this. I'll stencil that on, and like I said, we'll take off that back, flatten it out, cut back to the stencil, and we should be finished with a pretty nice rub, which I'll then have to probably pause the video and go onto the Novas afterwards, because it's already stretching out quite a bit with the amount of cutting we've had to do on this one. So yeah, getting the stencils out, getting the Sharpie out, and let's cut an oval. The technology gods are telling me to get a new camera, because I initially failed, the first recording failed for me doing the rough carving of cutting this down to shape and size. And then I recorded this outro once already, and we're doing it again, but oh well, here we go, second time's a charm. This is it after the cut back. So we use the ultra coarse large set of sintered diamonds that I've got. Cut it right back. Now, you would have noticed, and I wanted to leave it in the notes of the video that never got recorded, but when you stencil it on, what I did this time was left the line on. I like to do that as much as possible because then you get the most size stone out of that stencil. So rather than cutting the line off, as you'd hear in a lot of woodworking kind of terms, instead of cutting the line off, we're leaving it on. And then when we're doing the doming, and I've started the doming here, when we do the doming, we actually take that line off and get that curvature. It's a nice little way to do it. But yeah, this is what we've ended up with. It's still got a bit of a potchy area here and some potch lines going through, but it's got good blocks of colour. It's going to be a great stone. In terms of the curse, I think it's safe to say that this one has been fairly unaffected by the vote winner curse. Typically the vote winner has been an absolute garbage stone in the end. Keep that one wet. So now, what we're going to do is bamboo chopstick. Nice big square ended one. That's what I'm going to dop it on. So dop it on the back there using araldite. So it's a 2-part 5-minute epoxy resin. I want it to really stick onto that stone and hold it for the nova tips that are to come. So final shaping, because you can see here it's a little bit uneven, but I don't want to go at it too much because there's a lot of chipping potential with the sintered burrs. Oh, there's a nice little pattern there that I didn't see. So yeah, nova bits, we're going to do the final shaping, final doming, and then polishing. We'll use the new polishing powder from the Blacklighters, secret polishing powder. It seems pretty good, but I haven't tried it on a stone from scratch. I've only done it on a stone that I've previously polished already. But yeah, it's worked out well. I didn't weigh the initial rough, but let's just get a quick weigh in here. So, bit under 2 carats. The final stone will probably be about 1.5. 1.5 final shape and polish. So we're going to end up with a nice little stone out of this, which yeah, I'm quite happy with. Bit potchy, but apart from that, it's pretty good. The sand cleaned up pretty well. There's a little bit left on that potchy area there. Apart from that, we are absolutely flying. So in the next video, I'll do the quick dop just so that you can see how it's done, and yeah, get to the novas and the polishing. So I'll see you then.